Let's talk about something, alright? So let's do this. Now I've been making videos about PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X for the past couple weeks right now. But for today I want to compare both of them side by side from their shape, features and the things that I have mentioned from the last video and new things that I want to explain to you guys. So let's do this. First, let's talk about the shape and the color and the benefit we get from it. PlayStation 5 and Series X are going different direction with one another. Sony still keeps the compact shape of the traditional console other than Microsoft that choose the tower-looking console for their model. These both consoles have their own benefits and downsides from their shape. PlayStation 5 shape allow us to put it horizontally wherever place that don't have much height place that let's say like under a TV or a shelf, or you want to store it in a drawer, you can put it horizontally. Me personally, I actually prefer put my console horizontally rather than vertically because, well, let's just say I'm a pretty clumsy person that knocks stuff out the table, and especially stuff that is standing like a console. And it's easier to bring it everywhere if you want to play with your console somewhere else. You can bring it with a bag or something like that because it's still more or less has the same shape as a laptop. I'm going to explain about Series X. Now, Series X shape allow it to set its temperature all of the console evenly, and it's because of how the airflow works inside the console. The airflow, as I mentioned in Xbox Series X in my video, is coming from the bottom and out of the top of your console, which will go through every single parts of your console, making sure the console is in normal temperature to give you the best performance of the console. But sometimes the shape is too inconvenient for you to store it somewhere else or bring it everywhere. Can you imagine to store this thing in a shelf or drawer? I don't think it will fit on some shelf or a drawer. Even if you put it horizontally, it's still kind of big and thick. You can't really put it in a shelf or under your table like this, or you put it right under your TV, it might not fit. And also it's just kind of wrong to put it horizontally for some reason. I don't know, is it just me or you guys also feel it? If you guys think it's kind of weird for you to put it horizontally for Series X, just comment down below. Now we're done with the comparing both of the console shape. Now let's talk about the specs and let's compare them. For the CPU, PlayStation 5 uses 8 times Zen 2 cores that clocks at 3.5 GHz. Series X uses 8 times Zen 2 cores that clocks at 3.8 GHz. For the GPU, PlayStation 5 uses custom AMD Radeon RDNA Navi 10.28 teraflops 30 CUs at 2.23 GHz. This thing will support ray tracing and 3D audio and via Tempest engine. For the Series X, they use custom AMD Radeon RDNA Navi that have 12 teraflops 52 CUs at 1.825 GHz. Now this thing will support DirectX ray tracing. For the video output, both of these consoles more or less has the same. They will have native 4K and 120Hz refresh rate, and both of them also is going to support 8K. For the data transfer speed, PlayStation 5 can deliver until 5.5 GB per second in its RAW formation, and 8.9 GB per second in its compressed formation. However, Series X can only deliver until 2.4 GB in its RAW formation and 4.8 GB per second in its compressed formation. Now, for the storage, PlayStation 5 has custom 825 GB SSD storage device. For Series X, they have more, aka 1 TB NVMe SSD storage drive. For the external storage, PlayStation 5 provides you with NVMe SSD slot and USB HDD support. For the Series X, they provide you with a slot for the external 1 TB expansion card that you can buy separately, and USB 3.2 HDD support. For the backwards compatibility, PlayStation 5 can play PlayStation 4 games and all of PlayStation VR games. For the Series X, however, they allow you to play all of the games from all of generation of the console. Well, after all of the specs that I have mentioned about both of this console, the only thing that I want to say about this, if you're looking for a console that is have power and a lot on GPU, CPU, and that kind of stuff, you might want to choose Series X. But if you choose a lot more speed from the SSD, reducing load times and world mapping, and of course easier expandable storage, you might want to choose PlayStation 5. Now we're done with specs, let's talk about the controller. Now for the shape and the colors, to be honest, it doesn't matter. For the color, you can literally change the color of your controller later on. It doesn't matter if you want to buy the one with the color, it doesn't matter. But for the shape, it's also not really things that I can say about now. Shape of a controller is someone preference, so I can't really say that one is better than another. But the things that coming inside the console, that's the one I want to talk about, so let's go. Okay, let's get to the basic stuff first. Now both of these consoles are going to use USB Type-C port to recharge their control or to connect it to something. Because USB Type-C is already used for a lot of stuff in electronics nowadays. And they also of course has a headphone jack for you to plug your headphone. But for PlayStation 5 they have a built-in microphone, so you don't actually need to use a headphone with a microphone or an earphone or something like that to speak to your friends. Now about the features. The features for PlayStation 5, they have haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. For Series X, they also have haptic feedback and they use hybrid D-pad just like the 360 controller, and they use dynamic latency input to reduce the latency from your controller to your console. And they also use Bluetooth low energy pairing, so your controller can last longer. And for Series X, now they finally add the share button, social platform that they finally add for you to take screenshot and stuff, more or less the same stuff like share button in PlayStation 4 do. But for PlayStation 5 they use create button, or I'm not really sure there's not much thing about create button or what the hell this thing is, but it's still on the news and I'm going to explain it when it came out. For the controller batteries, now this is the weird thing. PlayStation 5 used the rechargeable internal battery that Sony make. But for Series X, for some reason, they still use the AA battery. Don't ask me why, just ask Bill Gates for God's sake. But it's not really a bad thing. I know that they eventually will release the rechargeable one, but it still sucks it didn't came with the controller. Okay, we're at the last thing, the price. Now, for the price, PlayStation 5 is going to sell it on the price of $499 for the standard edition of PlayStation 5 and $399 for the digital edition of PlayStation 5. And for this Xbox Series X, they're also going to sell it also in the $499 price. And for the Series X, they also released the Series S or the smaller version of the Series X and a lot more cheaper console. Series S is going to be sold on the price of $299. So I guess that's the only thing that I can talk about the PlayStation 5 and Series X and compare them. So if you guys want to see other videos, make sure to subscribe on this channel because I will post the next video soon enough. And if you guys like this kind of video, make sure to give me a thumbs up so I can know and I can be motivated to make another videos. So I guess that's all guys, and bye.